In this tutorial, we are going to go through two different ways that we can import different assets into Unreal Engine. To start, I'm going to show you the drag and drop method. If I was just to take my Unreal and make the screen slightly smaller so we can see my desktop, I have three assets here that I would like to import into the engine. We have an FBX, which is a 3D model. We have a .wav file, which is going to be audio. And we have a PNG. This could be used for UI or for textures. One way, probably the simplest method, is to just take to click and drag it into our content browser. You'll see your cursor changes, and when we let go, Unreal will load it. And depending on the asset type, as we're going to see, we might get a pop-up that lets us change different options. Feel free to look through these options, but for importing this mesh, I know that we do not need to do anything. So we just hit the import button, we let Unreal do its thing, and it pops up a message saying whether there was issues or not. This particular import did have issues because I downloaded it off the internet. We can hit show message log and we can read through what the issues are. A yellow triangle is a warning. It's not quite something wrong with it, but it's trying to tell you that, hey, we are either missing something could be done better. Ideally, we don't want any warnings, but warnings are better than errors. Red is errors, and these are things that completely went wrong. Even though we do have importing errors, the model will still work. In this case, I know that when I drag the model onto the scene, we can see it there. And usually when we download things from the internet, especially 3D models, we can have some issues. When you guys are working on your own models, either in Blender or Maya, you tend not to have these issues, and if you do have importing issues in models that you have made, it is very important to fix them. However, because we downloaded this model and it seems to look all right and work, it should be fine. Now, another way to import assets into Unreal is using the import feature. We click the import button, which opens up a dialog box. We navigate to where our asset is, and we click on it and hit open. You could see here when I imported in my crosshair, our texture, there was no dialog options. And finally, I can do either or to import the WAV file. I always prefer to do the drag and drop method just because it's easier to use. With any file in Unreal, any asset file, we can always double click it, which will open up a window, and it has different options for us to look through. These will become clearer and more useful to you as you work with Unreal, but it's just good to know that every asset has options that we can play with. One more feature of Unreal's importing tool is to re-import objects. Let's say we've made a change to one of these assets. So as you can see here, my crosshair, which was black, I have changed to blue. In Unreal, we could either delete this and re-import it. This is not advised, as if we have used this asset somewhere, we will break all those connections and we would have to redo that. Instead, we just right-click on the asset and find the re-import button. We can either re-import or re-import with a new file. If you are working on a file and you make changes to it and say override the first file, when we re-import, Unreal is going to take it directly from there. So in this case, when I hit re-import, Unreal looked at the file that we had originally imported, which is from my desktop. It realized there was a change to it, and it re-imported it. If that asset was somewhere else on my computer now, I would just hit re-import with a new file, which pops up this dialog box again, and we can re-import whichever file we want. This is the suggested method of doing this because any connections we have made with it will not break, and the asset will just update very neatly. Thank you.